Hi, my name is Cale Ambrozic, and you're watching the Permanent Rain Press.
Hi everyone, it's Chloe with the Permanent Rain Press. Today I am so happy to be joined by Cale Ambrozic. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks for asking. And I'm looking forward to chatting with you about your work in Finding Her Edge on Netflix. But to start off, what can you share about your background in the arts and what sparked that passion in you?
Yeah, 100%. I have an interesting story in a way. I went to boarding school for hockey. That was kind of my first love as a person from Edmonton. Every boy is kind of pushed into ice hockey, and it's kind of the goal to make the NHL, and that was my goal anyway. I figured out that you actually need skill to make the NHL, so I was a little bit lacking in that field. But yeah, I went to boarding school, and I really just wanted an easy A in a class, and drama just happened to be that class. And we always had to do theater productions at the end of the year. And so it was very interesting to go in front of your fellow student body, which was like three or 400 kids, and have to do a reiteration of Reservoir Dogs. And that feeling, it was kind of like a high a little bit. And I fell in love with it instantly. I was like, whoa, this is amazing. Can I do this as a job? Um, I kind of suppressed those emotions until I graduated, and just kind of said, you know what? I'm 18. Might as well do it now. Moved to Vancouver, and the rest is kind of in history.
I mean, how unexpected was that for you, like doing that production and actually enjoying drama? Like when you were younger, I'm sure you watched like movies and TV shows, but did you never kind of get that itch then? It had to kind of come naturally when you were performing in person.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the cool thing. Like I never had gotten it from movies. I loved movies. I loved, watching them and spending time with my family. It was a great way to bond. We bond through movies, which is amazing. But yeah, I never had that itch before I actually had done it. So I find that to be a beautiful thing is just trying it out and seeing if you actually like it is a big thing for me.
You've played hockey, you mentioned since you were young. I think it was up to junior A, which was in high school. What has hockey and the sport taught you over the years that you continue to apply to your life today?
Mhm. Yeah, that acting is very much like a sport in my opinion. You need to be physically ready for your character, no matter what it is. You have to be emotionally ready, and you gotta be competitive. And I say competitive in the way of competitive with yourself. I always want to learn. I always want to get better. Um, you know, I sometimes struggle with watching myself, but I've kind of switched my mindset to the sport mindset of it's game film. Now, how can I watch this? How can I get better? What from this scene, what did I not enjoy? And how can I change that? And I got that from hockey, from watching our games. Oh, I didn't make the right pass. I didn't make the right play. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. So I'm very competitive with myself, not with anybody else. And I think that's a big part of my process as an actor. And it's all thanks to hockey and that competitive edge that I have.
I like that like analytical framework in terms of watching yourself back. There's obviously a big team aspect to
Mhm.
sports and discipline. I
Mhm.
think it was like the Hounds that you played with, so go
Yes.
Hounds.
Yeah.
Do you ever miss those days, like your dreams of the NHL?
Yeah, I think that's another reason that acting has kind of sparked that passion for me. Was I can play an NHL player. I can play different things if I want to, and if God willing, I can. Um, and yeah, the team aspect of it, like you said, is also so important. Hockey teaches you to deal with all different types of personalities and different types of people, and learning to collaborate, even though you may have differences. Um, And that is another thing that I really cherish from my hockey days. And I miss that aspect. I miss like the team camaraderie and especially when you score a goal and you're it's very exciting. So I do miss that for sure.
I mean, you could get the same feeling nailing a scene, something
Yeah,
like that.
that's true. I always find the scenes that I am like, yeah, I killed it. I'm usually crying and I'm really sad. So it's tough to be like, woo.
A bit of a different euphoric feeling in that
Yeah,
sense.
I
But
think so. I
you
think
mentioned being from Alberta, big Oilers fan, or who's your go-to team?
die hard Oilers fan. Die hard. I only cheer for the Oilers. I will only go if the Oilers are playing. I love the Oilers. My dad's been like a season ticket holder since the early 2000s. It's a big part of our family. I got to go to the last two Stanley Cup finals, which was a very, very cool experience. I want to be able to like drop the puck one game. I know it's a weird thing to want. I'm like, I really want to do that. Yeah, I love the Oilers.
Who's your all-time favorite player?
Connor McDavid. He's kind of perfection when you watch him on the ice. He is like the pinnacle of any hockey player. He's my goat. He's my goat.
I was gonna say you said your father's been a season ticket holder since the early 2000s. I mean, basically since you were a baby then, I guess.
Yeah. It was funny because he got, it's 82 games season. He would get 41 games, the home games. And so he would just kind of I have three older brothers, so he would just, take us to each different.
You like
Yeah,
rotate who
bro,
gets to go with
I was the
that.
youngest. I got the crappy ones. They're always like, yeah, you can go watch like the bottom feeder teams, and then my brothers got like the Toronto Maple Leafs and
You
like,
got the Buffaloes,
yeah, I got
maybe?
like yeah, exactly. They
Sorry
can
to the
watch it.
Sabres, of course.
Nah, don't be.
I mean, it must have been so fun growing up in that atmosphere and with that culture. And now you get to have a new love that you're focused on. Let's talk about you starring in the MGM plus crime thriller Hotel Cocaine as Howard. What did your time on set teach and give you as an emerging actor?
Yeah, that was an interesting one. I was very lucky in the sense that was my first ever audition I had done as a actor. I had just got signed at Play Management at the time, and I did the audition and ended up getting the call probably 3 months later. Exuberant, very exciting until I actually got there and I realized that I had to do it. I had to act, and I had never done it before. And I am now a firm believer of being thrown into the deep end and sink or swim. Squeeze, and some people are going to persevere, some people are going to, shrink. And I wanted to shrink so bad, but I knew I had a responsibility. I had to do that. I was working with a guy named Guillermo Navarro, who was Guillermo del Toro's director of photography, who won an Academy Award in 2007. And so working with an Academy Award winner as your first ever acting gig is terrifying. It's not really, I don't recommend it in a way. It's very stressful. But yeah, thrown into the deep end. And that was where I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna do this. I love this. This is like the pressure, so many people on set. It's like terrifying. Lighting people, camera operators, all of this stuff. And I took so much from that, and I'm gonna cherish that role for the rest of my life.
There was quite a big ensemble cast on that show. You got to film in the Dominican Republic, which didn't get mentioned, but I mean, flying to another country, it must have been so surreal because it wasn't even like, oh, you're on home soil. This is like my backyard. It was like a whole new place as well.
Yeah, especially there was a lot of stuff going on in Haiti. So it was interesting. We were kind of confined to our hotels, and we weren't really allowed to leave unless we had, chauffeurs or going to set or we are doing a big group thing. So that was a very that was interesting. That was interesting, but I love the Dominican Republic. I'm gonna again cherish that place for the rest of my life and that experience. And it was a great learning experience. And since I had gone to boarding school, I was used to being away from home and spending a long time away. And so that was another, looking back at boarding school, I can take that with me, that I can actually move to places and be okay. But yeah, it was a beautiful experience.
I'm sure you got to spend a lot of time getting to know the cast during, the times you were kind of confined or spent together. I know you worked with Myra Hermosillo, who I've spoken with, such a wonderful, talented human. And you mentioned before that you were a big Law and Order franchise fan with your family. So getting to work with Danny Pino as well.
Yep. Yeah, no, it was really, again, scary. I'm also a big Fantastic Four fan, so working with a guy like Michael Chiklis, who played the Thing. Again, thrown in the deep end, figure it out, sink or swim. But yeah, all of them were very gracious, very understanding, very willing to help. And I feel like actors need that, and especially when they're getting started, just having that camaraderie, that kind of family dynamic. Again, not all sets are going to be like that, but I'm very grateful that Hotel Cocaine was like a small family, and we're still in contact. We still have a group chat. We still, congratulate each other on things. Michael Chiklis had just become a grandfather. We're still in each other's lives, even though it's not a show anymore and it got canceled. It's still, we're still a small family. So
Those memories will stay with you, and it's always nice to check in with each other and stay connected. We will get into your current project now, which is Finding Her Edge. And I will note to all those watching that we are discussing spoilers for season one. So please make sure you've finished all the episodes before continuing our interview. What can you share about your audition process and what drew you to the project and wanting to play a character like Brayden?
yeah, the audition process, that was a very cool experience, because when I got the audition, you had the chance to either pick Freddie or Brayden. They didn't want you auditioning for both. They wanted you to pick one that suited you more. I don't know if Brayden suited me more. I just thought he was a funny character. I thought, like, the bad boy of figure skating is quite hilarious. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try out Brayden. I think this is gonna be a great opportunity. And did the audition and was like, "Whoo, I kind of feel gross. I feel kind of that was, I feel I don't feel great." That that was very interesting. He's got a lot of ego. But I think it was probably about 2 weeks after I had done the audition, I got the call back. And that's when I got to do the first chemistry read with Madeline Keys, who plays Adriana Rousseau. And got to meet Jeff Norton and Shamim, who is our director, one of our directors. And wow, that was talk about nerves. You're up for a lead in a Netflix thing. You got to meet all the producers and the director and the girl who possibly is going to be playing Adriana Russo, and you're just like, oh. And that was a first for me. I hadn't done a callback like that before. I hadn't done a chem read. I was still pretty new to the industry at that point, especially the Canadian side. And yeah, oh, lots of fun. And then you finish it, and then you sit there stewing for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever it was, hoping, crossing your fingers that you get a call back to actually do the project. And luckily, I had gotten part.
What was it like getting that call? Do you remember where you were, who you were with, who was the first person or people that you told?
Yeah, I was at the doctor's office doing my annual checkup, and I had one of those blood pressure things on my arm, and the girl was like squeezing the thing, and I get the call from my agent that's like, "Hey, Cale, just letting you know you'd gotten the part of Brayden Elliot." And then the girl was like, "Hey, your blood pressure is really high." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm kind of freaking out right now. I just got a part. Anyway, I got that's where I was. Not the most I wish I could have said I was like hiking or doing something cool, but no, I was in the doctor's office. And I called my mom. She was the first person I'd called. I'd call my mom 3 times a day. She is my rock. So she's always the first call.
I mean, it's really a win for your family as well. I'm sure that they put in time and effort to help you achieve your dreams. And I mean, hopefully you were in perfect health other than the high blood pressure, which was only related to the good news. But do you remember what scenes you auditioned when you had to kind of go through any of the chemistry reads or any read-throughs?
Yeah, so the two scenes that we did was me and Adriana walking and talking about like this isn't really part of the rules and the kissing scene in the diner. That was the first scene. And we had done like probably 3 or 4 different variations of it, and Shamim is all about, versatility and trying different things because she is an indie director, just that's how she started. And so she brings a very beautiful indie vibe to the set, which is I love. I think it's great. And the second scene was after we don't make it to Worlds, the locker room scene, where Brayden becomes very angry and proceeds to throw things and say some not so nice things to Adriana about her and her family.
We will talk about that scene in a bit, but I'm sure it must be interesting for you to kind of, those are your audition scenes, but then you go through so much before you film those scenes for real in the show and seeing how that changes and how you adapt to your character. What was your familiarity with the source material, and at what point into your casting and filming did you read Jennifer Icopelli's novel?
Yeah, I had read it after I got the call that I'd be doing a callback. Um, I try not to restrict myself to the book right off the bat in a way because I want to bring my own kind of sparkle. That sounds weird, but my own kind of thing to my characters and try and make it as interesting as possible. And I don't want to restrict myself um, with the book and just getting caught up in what Brayden is. And I think it's a good thing for actors just to do it the way that they want to do it, because ultimately you're going to be hired for that. Um, so I didn't restrict myself to the book until it was a real possibility that I could be playing this character. And I read it in 5 hours. I just sat down and I just crushed it out. I was just like, such an entertaining book. It's a pretty easy read. It's entertaining. I loved Brayden in the book. I thought he was hilarious. So getting to read that novel did really help me in the callback session for sure.
So on that note, like what specific elements did you draw from the source material to help you bring Brayden Elliot to life during filming? And were there any other key reference points that you drew inspiration from?
Yeah, Brayden is very um, confident in the book, and I think and he does come across as very, brash and confident and like I'm the guy. And that was something that I didn't really bring as much to my first audition, but I brought it to my second audition. And just being very confident and very like I'm the best skater here. No one can touch me. Uh, I'm the guy. I will always be the guy. And so I really brought that part of it. I think that was probably the most important thing for me, was just to bring that raw confidence from the source material.
He's definitely not lacking in that confidence, and that's such a key part of the character early on, but we eventually get to, unravel some deeper layers to him. Tell me about his like mannerisms and physicality. Did that confidence really inform you while you were like even walking and talking in character?
Yeah, for sure. I think a walk and the way that he carries himself is so important. Um, it's all people have a way of carrying themselves, and it's different. And so Brayden is definitely bigger than I am naturally. And it was cool to, yeah, just be like, everyone is looking at me. Everyone knows who I am. Everyone knows I'm the best. And so knowing that and going into it and everyone being like their characters, which is like kind of in awe of Brayden a little bit, it's easier to really like puff those shoulders back and kind of come in all confident, and you kind of get you get sucked in. And yeah, it was interesting to have that dynamic, because naturally I just kind of want to shy away a little bit. I don't really want to like, yeah, I don't want everyone looking at me, or I think like, oh, do I have something like my face, or what, do I look weird? Like, why is everyone looking at me? So it was that was kind of weird to adjust to, but once I did, it was very fun.
It must be easier when you're feeding off of, that energy on set. And obviously everyone's playing a part. Very different from walking down the streets of Vancouver. But
Yeah, very.
playing an ice dancer, like how much research and preparation did you do with respect to the sport? And how did that inform you and your mindset?
Yeah, for sure. I actually didn't I thought they were just like pair skaters. I didn't know, I thought it was the same thing. So the funny thing about that was I was like, oh my God, like pair skaters are really like built. Like they're very like big human beings. Like they gotta be able to like chuck this girl and like lift this girl over their head. So I was like, I gotta get in the gym. Like this is terrifying. Uh and so when I was like, okay, so when are we doing like the spins and like the throws? And they're like, no, you're an ice dancer. I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, yeah. So when are we doing the throws and the lifts? And they're like, no, you don't do that in ice dance. I was like, oh. I was like, what's ice dance? And they're like, oh no, it's like like beautiful like tango on ice. Like it's like you don't really like do crazy like lifts and throws. You just are very like in sync and doing it together as one, and it's very like lovey-dovey, and you got to kind of seem like you're in a relate. I was like, what are you talking about? What is this? Like I researched the wrong thing. So I think I had probably like 2 3 weeks before I'd started shooting, and I was just doing a deep dive. I'm like, who's the best Canadian ice dancers? Who, like, it's like Tessa and Scott Virtue, and blah. I'm like, okay, let me watch their things. And then I had just become like, oh, I think I like ice dance more than I like pair skating. That's very, you know, I think I might be a little biased in my approach, but yeah, I was a little late, but I ended up being okay.
I think that's just such a funny story because I am a big figure skating fan, and so it's like when you've followed the sport for so many years, you know the different like disciplines, but for you it was like a completely foreign territory.
Yeah, I had always looked at figure skaters as guys who chewed up my ice before the hockey team went out. It's like, oh, they left big holes that the Zamboni couldn't fix. I'm always like, oh, those guys.
It's
Always,
always the toe picks.
always the toe picks. But now I have more respect for figure skaters and hockey players. Like I had eaten ice so many times, and I'm like waking up in the mornings, I'm like my legs and my knees and my arms, and I'm like I can't even like move, because like you hockey, you hit your equipment, you're fine, it doesn't hurt. Ice dance, no, you're just hitting straight bone, and it's not fun. So respect.
I mean, they have such a high level of endurance and strength, and obviously the trust aspect. I mean, you trust your teammates in hockey, but when it's like one-on-one with someone, you're trusting them with so many of the intricate moves on ice. Obviously, the mindset of being able to train and compete with the same people you live under the same roof as, did that kind of inform you as well going into production?
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. And again, like I've been very lucky in the shows that I've been a part of, that we've all become small families, and living with all of them and bouncing ideas off of all of them and getting their information, because be real, they did a way better deep dive than I had because they actually knew what ice dance was. And so just learning from them and seeing how hard they worked, because a lot of them weren't even skaters to start as actors. They don't know how to skate, like a lot of people don't. And so seeing how hard they got to work and learn the craft from scratch was really cool.
Is Brayden supposed to be around 17 years old in the show?
I think he's 19.
Okay.
19 years old. Yeah. That's what
I don't think ages are really specified, but I
they're
think in the
not.
books, like Adriana was around 17. So
Yeah. Yeah. I was told that he was 19. But that's just up to people's perception. He's not the most mature person on the planet. So he could be 15 or 19, you know.
yeah.
It does yeah, I don't think it matters.
You mentioned the reputation as the bad boy of figure skating. Can you provide some context for his actions and how his childhood and his parents' divorce affected his attitude and public persona?
For sure. This one I always this is what really helped me get into the mindset of Brayden is it's all a facade. It all kind of stems from insecurity in a way. He was kicked to the curb by his parents. They send him all around the world to train and don't really, call him or talk to him. And he has kind of had to navigate life by himself. And he's had to create this persona of being like he is the best, and he's created this persona of like, yeah, you know what, I am. And it's a defense mechanism. He doesn't want to get close to people. He doesn't want to, because he was close to his parents and they kicked him to the curb. So why would he? The people that he's loved and trusted have abandoned him in a way. And so again, he's lashing out a little bit, and it all stems from that, from his parents, 100%. And I think he was wanting their attention, and that's why he is snotty to the press. That's why he's rude to his teammates. That's why he carries this large persona, because he wants his parents to see him. And that's why in episode 3, where he talks about, you know what, I don't want to throw away my shot with you, because he thinks if he wins gold, his dad will love him. And he looks at Adriana as someone who can get that for him, and is like, I can't lose this. You know what? This is finally something that I can grasp onto and take into the future. And it was really fun to have that contrast from episodes 1 and 2, where you see it and it's like you're like, okay, it's kind of like he's putting something on. Like, he's so arrogant. He's so like cocky and like thinks he's the best. And then getting to see that shift to his emotional side and seeing that relationship build with him and Adriana is really cool.
So well said. And for someone like Brayden, like it must be so hard to kind of hold on to that small sliver of hope that there could be something there with his parents. It's not like they're a phone call away for him. It almost seems like they wouldn't pick up the phone if he tried to call.
Yeah, it's like they are gone. And when he has that conversation with Freddie, he's like, you know what? I've tried so hard. I've tried and I've tried and I've tried, and they won't accept me. I'm better off without them. And he's like, you are too. You're better off without your mom. You don't need her. And he realizes that after he said that kind of look that he gives, he's like, oh, that was not, it's not the best, because deep down, he doesn't actually want that. He wants love from his parents, and he wants to be accepted, and he wants to like have the lovey-dovey families that he sees at the arenas every day, you know? And so he's lashing out, and that's just how he is. And I think once people realize that from Brayden, and hopefully I did a good job representing that, they can understand him better and don't think of him as a bad guy, but just as someone who is so broken and needs guidance.
Can you take me through his attraction to Elise and their very, very brief-lived romance? Like for you, in your opinion, was it purely surface level?
Yeah, for me that was a really interesting one. He obviously thinks Elise is extremely beautiful. She is. Um, but as you can see when he goes and he's first introduced to Adriana and he's like, "Hey, like when are we doing this? When are we skating together?" Or like, "I'm ready to go." And she rejects him. I was like back to his parents. He's just been rejected. He's only been rejected by his parents. He's never been rejected by anybody else, right? And so this girl who is desperate for a partner rejects me. Okay, I'm gonna go party. But he's like, you know what? How can I hurt this girl? And he's like, oh, her beautiful sister. That would be really funny. Why don't we go hit on her? And he goes and he hits on her and he wants to like kind of create a divide in the family because he's hurt. It all stems from being hurt. So was it surface level? Yes, I think, but there's deeper, vines to that where it's purely to hurt someone.
Maybe not the healthiest way
No,
to
not the
go
health.
about things, but I
Yeah,
did think it was nice when he did bring her flowers after her incident. Obviously, at that point, it's like he didn't expect to really see her again. But I'm assuming they knew of each other in the figure skating world. It is big, but at the same time, it's very small. You know of other people who are accomplished.
yeah, 100%. Like, the circuit's small. So they had probably, crossed paths in a way. Not maybe not talked, but had crossed paths. And I think in the later episodes when they're at the gala and you see Elise kind of going towards Brayden again, you can see how he doesn't want to engage, how he tells her no, because he knows that will hurt Adriana and he doesn't want to do that anymore because that will ruin his chances of a gold. And so I thought that was a really cool contrast too, from being like, I'm gonna hurt this girl to like now I really care about this girl. And that was fun to play too.
Brayden ultimately gives his and Adriana's partnership a chance after she convinces him of her passion on the train. So, you mentioned that he wanted to hurt her for rejecting him earlier, but what about that moment motivated him to give it a serious go?
Hmm. Yeah, and that was the first scene we had filmed. That was the first one. That was day one. You're doing this whole dance routine and whatever. But that moment, I think you really see their connection. And Braden's past partners, again, his one partner goes to Broadway and another partner just hadn't worked out and yada 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 yada. I don't think he'd had ever had like a true like feeling, before. It was strictly like professional and this is what we're gonna do. And I think in that moment he had this really like sensual dance and they really pressed up and looked each other in the eyes and it was like an instant spark. And I think as soon as he felt that, he was like, okay, all right, I think this is what I need. And they almost kiss too. So that's a big part of it too. They are they're about yay close to kissing. So I think it was just that instant connection, that instant like I know where you're gonna be and you know where I'm gonna be. And I think that was a part that Brayden hadn't had before.
Especially because when they were on ice, they'd been so out of sync for a lot of the practicing. So to kind of have that moment and that revelation and the
Hmm.
do you need cash question between the two of them was still one of my favorite lines. I thought that was really cute. And the more time they spend together, Brayden becomes more comfortable. He opens up about his family. How was it for you tapping into this softer vulnerable side in contrast to his more flippant attitude. And is there anything special that you do to prepare for a more emotional scene?
Hmm. Yeah, that was a hard day. That was where I probably had a week. I knew a week before that scene. You know how much like, yeah, it was about a week of time to really prep that scene. They wanted to give me a lot of time, and that's where I had kind of made the connections with the dad and the mom and being able to have that time to really like create those scenarios in my head for real, and the things that maybe had gone through as a kid, and they had wrote in the script about the divorce and the paparazzi and this and that, but there was more to it than that I wrote down. um and just having that time to really reflect on his life and get to feel it for real. A lot of time you don't have that much time because you're just told, you get the one liner and they're like, "Here you go, you're filming this scene today," or this scene got pushed up, or um, I'm very grateful that I had a lot of time to do that. And through Hotel Cocaine, I had a few emotional scenes, and We Were Liars, I had a few angry scenes. And the thing that I found that helped me get into those moments better is music. I'm a big believer in music, and I think a film like if you watch a horror film without the scary music, you don't, it's not scary. Music does something to our souls, and just listening to specific songs that can get you in that mindset is something that I do and really love.
What songs, if you don't mind me asking, were
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, of
specific to that
course.
process?
Yeah, I like Billie Eilish. She's, someone that encapsulates that feeling very beautifully. She's very talented. But I also listen to, violin and piano. I don't know the specific songs, but I find that just instrument really gets me there as well. And it always depends on the day as well. Sometimes it's piano, sometimes it's like actual singing, and it just depends on the character for sure. But also the mood that I am in to start the day.
And for those watching, if it wasn't specific, we were talking about the episode 4 scene in the gym with Brayden talking about his parents' divorce and the paparazzi. Which was your favorite scene to film and why?
Um, I really, really enjoyed. Oh, geez, that's a good question. I loved so many of them. I know this is gonna kind of sound crazy, but I really love the angry scene where he kind of freaks out in the locker room after they don't make worlds. I think that was a part that got to see Braden's facade drop for a second time, but in a different way. Not just sad. We see sad boy Braden, but now you see all of the damage that his parents had really done to him. You don't speak to women like that. You don't yell at them. You don't get in their face and, cuss them out and treat them like that. And so you just see how much pain he has in his life. And you can see it when he finishes rambling off and grabs all of his stuff and leaves, and he turns around and she's like, "Brayden, don't throw this away. We're good together." And he's just like so broken. He's like, "Yeah." And then you can see him just like wanting to cry, but then he switches back to that anger. He's just like, "Just not good enough," and then walks out. And that was really interesting to see the damage that he had endured through his childhood, and not just sad, but how it can make you bitter and angry sometimes. And so I really like that one because it was cool to kind of switch back and forth to angry and sad. So.
I mean, those comments he made towards Adriana, her family, Will, they were objectively cruel. I mean, getting to film those opposite Madeline and Harmon, what was that like for you?
Yeah, again, they're very talented. They're, such a joy to be around and to hang out with. scenes when I have to be like that, I kind of stay away from them and am in my own world. And like to just kind of distance myself before I have to do that because they're just such lovely people. Both Madeline and Harmon, some of the nicest people you'll ever meet in your life. And so I don't think I could have done it if I was like chatting with them, if you know what I mean. But again, they're so talented, so professional. They bring their best self to set every day. And such a pleasure. It's such a pleasure. I'm glad that they put up with my crap for 5 months. Yeah,
I mean, sometimes you just need a bit of space before a big scene like that.
for sure.
How was the bonfire fight scene to choreograph, rehearse, and film?
Yeah, that was an interesting one. So we had arrived about February, I want to say 7th to Toronto. And we were in a dance studio like the 10th filming that. They wanted to like get it going. So I was doing back to back. So I was doing the train scene, the train dance rehearsal on one side of the wall. And then we did that for about 2 hours. And then we ripped around. They just brought me around. And then I had to do the fight choreo with Jason Gosby, who is just what a guy. Love him. Just done stuff for the Suicide Squad and is doing did all the stunts for the new up and coming Muhammad Ali show. Just phenomenal, top of his class. What a gem. And I had never done a full fight choreo. I had done like a punch here and there on We Were Liars. I punched Joseph Zeta in the face, but I hadn't done like a full fight. Um, and so, I was so new, so fresh, didn't know what to do. And again, top tier, Jason Gosby just took me under his wing and really, helped us and took his time. But yeah, it was really cool to film that and to now have that, on my resume, I guess I can say, is super cool. Is super, super cool.
You can add stunts or
Yeah,
action
exactly.
sequences if
Yeah.
anyone's out there needs an action star. But for Brayden, he ultimately returns and says to Adriana, he's never felt anything real like what they have before. In between him walking out of the lockers and returning at the sponsorship gala, what kind of reflecting did he do that changed his mind? You mentioned like having gold like at the forefront, but by that time he had built a bit of a connection with her.
Yeah, for sure. And I think he had realized, so when he left, he was blaming the family. And in a sense, yeah, it was the family who, Elise talking to the press and the news article was Dynasty in distress because of the comments that she had made. So it was valid in a way. I think his execution was wrong. Um, but I think he just needed some time to reflect and realize that it wasn't Adriana who said that stuff and compromised the family and the work they had done. And like he said, I'd never felt anything real. And what I said about the train, that real connection, that locking eyes, that feeling of like, okay, like she didn't give me this before. You remember when we're on the ice and we fall and I'm like, you know, eyes on me. You're not even looking at me. Like, how are we supposed to have a connection? Like, you don't have any real passion if you're not looking at me. This is crazy. But when she finally, boom, looks and it's like, okay, this is something cool. And I think he just had to reflect on that. He's like, I've been skating since I was a kid, like a child, a baby. I was skating and I had never had that. So am I really gonna throw this away over some comments made by the girl, by not even the girl who I'm skating with? And I think he's just like, you know what? I can't throw this away. And that's why he comes back.
And at the gala, Piper and Paul cameo. What was it like getting to interact with them for that brief moment?
Olympic stars. phenomenal actors too. It was great. They had never really acted before, and I thought they did a beautiful job. Um, I had a lot of questions for Piper and Paul and just about, preparation and the things that they have to do as Olympians because, as a hockey player growing up, it was quite intensive and you want to, maintain your body and stay healthy. But Olympians are on a whole nother level. Like she ate like a part of a cookie. She's like, oh my God, I hadn't eaten a cookie in like 8 months. I'm like, oh my God. I had like four yesterday. That's crazy. All right. Awesome. So it was really cool to get to know them and to see them thriving. They just skated on at the Canada on Ice, I think I'm not sure where it is right now. Ottawa? Is it in Ottawa or maybe
They're
in
doing the nationals right now, actually. I think that they're probably skating around this time. I think the
Yeah.
ice dance was last, but I mean
Yeah.
to have them as a part of the show and Elvis Stoiko as well,
Yeah.
who is such a celebrated Canadian figure skater. Like when I was watching the show and I saw them, I was like, "Oh my gosh, like it's actually them." But of course, he doesn't play himself. He plays
Yeah.
a rival kind of coach or person who runs the rink. But it was so nice for you to be able to kind of pick their brains a little bit. In episode 7, some honest romantic feelings for Adriana begin to show, and to a viewer, it appears to be mutual. What does Brayden see in Adriana, having gotten to know her, and what is he hoping for?
Yeah. She is just so understanding and like soft. She's not harsh, and I think Braden is used to dealing with harsh. And so I think he's just really built that connection just because she understands where he's coming from. She listens to him. She really gets to know him not just because he's Brayden Elliot, but because he's just a person. It wasn't like, oh my God, it's Brayden Elliot. Like I gotta like talk to him and like get to know him. It was like this guy's hurting. Like let me talk to him and so I think just having that connection in a way, that real emotional connection, not just physical, was something that maybe Braden had not dealt with before. And so I don't think he wanted to let it go. And I think it's the first time he's actually felt truly happy.
What's interesting about those comments, though, is while she is kind of soft and wants to know him genuinely, like she also isn't afraid to push back. Like when they're kind of rehearsing, and if there's something she thinks isn't working, like she's not afraid to tell him. She's not going to fawn at his feet, which also must be something new for him to face.
For sure. And I think that's another reason that, he's used to, being the alpha of the group. Like Braden Elliot, like you do what I tell you to do. Like I'm gonna be an Olympic gold medalist no matter what. Um, with or without you. That's kind of his mindset. And so having a girl who's soft in her personal life, but then brings this like competitive edge that he loves, that he has himself, is again, that's brand new. That's like, holy, who is this girl and why hasn't she skated for 2 years? This is wild. And that again, he hasn't had that. And sometimes when you don't have something like that, the love is imminent, in my opinion.
And I like that it changes him. He lets her kind of set the ground rules for their relationship and take the lead when they're on ice. In Paris, Brayden can sense Adriana as being a little distant, and then he sees her kissing Freddie. He always knew that they had some kind of history. Can you expand on his emotions after seeing that? And then, not angrily, but at the same time, with so much emotion, like pleading his case to Adriana to give them a chance.
Yeah, I think it is a little bit of his, again, I'm going back to his childhood. It's pleading for his parents to be in his life. He sees that he's kind of being kicked to the curb again, and he cannot let that happen. this is not happening. We're not doing this. Listen to me. You can't, I know you think this is right. I know I'm not the easiest person to get along with. You're not either at times, but there is something here that we can't explain. Like, don't throw that away for some curly-headed dude. Come on, the straight hair blondes. This is what's up. And seeing her and just I think it's just pure shock and kind of going right back to the place that he did not want to be in. What the thing that he has been running from his entire life. And he's getting thrown back into that right now, and he does not want that to happen. And so that pleading scene starts off as like, yeah, I saw you. I saw you. Like, it's a little angry. It's a little like, we said no Freddie exception in the rules. Like we said that. And then it's just like, okay, she's still being distant, like different approach. I got to be honest with this girl again. And having that switch in the scene was, again, Shamim and Jeff were always there to help us bring that emotional roller coaster to life.
Great work by the team and yourself included with that delivery of the line when he says, I will try every day for you. I felt it. I mean, it didn't work on Adriana, but he was being honest and truthful. They skate well and win gold, although kind of in anger at each other. But Brayden, he's still visibly upset. He ends up walking away from Adriana and the gala skate. Take me through him doing that after promising her that he wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Brayden's mindset in that scene specifically was prior when he was helping her do up her strap and touching her shoulders, and it was very like, we're comfortable. We love each other. This is us, and going back, same kind of scene, doing up her strap, touching her shoulders, and she winces, and that moment is just like, okay, you promised me that we'd fake being a couple. You promised me that we couldn't date anybody else and that you wouldn't. You promised me this and that, this and that. You promised me all of these things. And right there, you destroyed all of it. Okay. Bet. We win gold. Yes. Awesome. I promised you that. Promise kept. You broke every other promise. I guess I can too, which is a little petty. It's a little petty. It is. But it's like, you throw a stone at me, I'm going to throw a stone at you. And so, yeah, he threw the stone and he left.
I mean, let's talk about timing because when they're in the locker rooms, she chooses that moment to say, but I can't let Freddie go if there's a chance. And then before they hit the ice, he says to her, "You don't love Freddie." So there's so many like emotions there. It's not a good pep talk by either of them.
Oh,
Um,
bad timing. Bad timing.
and then to say that when she kind of lets him down easily and says, you're hot and you're fun, I just thought, in that moment for Brayden, you could see how hurt he was because he doesn't want to hear that. He has proven like time and time again, or at least more than once, that he is more than just like the playboy persona that a lot of people think. So, like, how did those words cut deep for him?
Yeah, for sure. You know, the scene of when he's like, you don't love him. It's just it's not it's emotional in a way, but it's like he's in such shock that this is happening right now. Like he's not really sad. He's just like he's trying so hard to salvage this. Like, you do not love him. Like, I can't believe we're talking about this right now. Like, how is this a possibility? Like, how are we doing this? Uh, and as soon as she says, like, Brayden, can you please be professional for once? It's like, okay, really? The girl who was just kissing our major competition, what, like a week ago, is telling me that I need to be professional? And then they go out and skate, and then like, so already bad exchange of words and bad things to say before you go out and skate and have to be like lovey-dovey. And then her just going back to the things that Brayden has heard about himself his entire life, the things that he doesn't actually want to be. He doesn't want to be like the fun playboy who is known just for going through partners like this and is just a hot guy who just does this and that and he's just sick of hearing it. He knows he's more than that. She made him feel more than that, and now she's going back to the same thing that we just went away from. It's like, who told you to say that? What? Oh, your dad, Camille? Like this is the way you think I'm gonna stay now? We're going back here, and at that point, he's done.
So he makes that, emotional decision again, like you said, a bit petty, but there's so much more to, his reaction than that. Leaves. We see him again later on, which we'll get to. But Freddie and Brayden, they do spend considerable time together across the season. They find a bit of an understanding about each other. How would you describe their season-long arc and getting to play off of Olly in your scenes?
Mr. Atkins, what a guy. It's really funny because we are best friends now. We both live in Vancouver. We both spend considerable time together. We audition together. We go to dinner together. We, go out together. We do everything together now. And in the show, they start off as absolute haters. They hate each other. They can't stand each other. And that was really fun to play because on set, we're all like, hey, what's up? What's up? As soon as they're like, all right, in action, we're like, all right, I don't like you anymore. But having that switch of when they go to the arena and they actually like, get to talk and have those scenes together and you know, it was really fun to have that switch. And again, like just like Freddie and Adriana, just like Brayden and Adriana, it's a roller coaster. And again, that relationship is a roller coaster. It's like, oh, we hate each other. We kind of understand each other and kind of like each other. And then it's like, all right, the gala thing happens. We hate each other. And then it's like, okay, I see his mom at the diner. I understand this guy. It's just like, oh my God, like how do these guys live like this? This is crazy. But again, Ollie's a talent. Ollie is, a guy that really loves his craft, and it was really cool to work off of him.
Without divulging exactly how Brayden ended up at Voltage and paired with Riley, we'll leave that to the writers if there's hopefully a second season. But in your opinion, can you broadly share what kinds of theories you had in response to that final scene and what you think might have driven him to return and have to train at the same rank or club as Adriana and Freddie?
Hmm. Well, it just goes back to the Elise thing with Adriana. Um, he wants to hurt her. He wants to. It's petty. It's just how he is. He's never had a parent to tell him that's the wrong approach in life, and he's like, you know what? I can double whammy this. I can hurt Adriana, and I can hurt Freddie. What better way than partner with his old partner, go to Voltage and train opposite them and kick their ass in every single event? What's better? Because Brayden is an elite athlete. he's using that rage to win. And I hope in the second season Brayden just sweeps, but I think that's a little bias. But that's the reason he's out for blood, and he's gonna get it.
It'll be so interesting to see that new partnership. And obviously, for you work with Millie a little bit more. I know you shared scenes together, but this would be like a whole new level. So, on that note, like if renewed for season two, you kind of mentioned you hope to see him sweep and do so well. But are there any other kind of characters or any aspects of his life that you would be interested in exploring more?
Of course. Obviously, the relationship with Millie would be amazing. We shared not too much screen time together. So getting to work with her, seeing her scenes when we're on set together, and her and Freddie's scene and scenes, and watching her, she's so great. And getting to act with her would be really amazing. I think for future characters, I think I would want to see Brayden and his parents. I think that'd be a very interesting dynamic, and something very emotional, and people could start to understand the relationship a little bit more if they're still kind of confused with why he's like that. Um, I think that would be a really beautiful thing. But yeah, I think those are those would be my favorites.
Do you have a favorite memory from set and working with the cast that you can share, including your time in France for episode 8?
Yes. So the days when all of the skaters were together were so much fun. We're all from different places, we're all different ages, and everyone is so nice and willing to learn, and have a laugh here and there. So amazing to get to know everybody, and be together. It was really unfortunate when we did go to France. There was only a small pocket of us that got to go. But being in France, the city of love, God, the first time in France too, and being able to say like I got to work, it kind of felt like Emily in Paris, a little bit, little Emily in Parisy. But yeah, it was really fun to be with them and tour around with the people that you spent the last 5 months with. Was a really cool experience, and something that brought us really, really close together. I think for a specific moment, um, would probably be, it wasn't during filming, it was when we were started to get to know each other. We got to go to the Toronto Maple Leafs practice arena, and we all got to like skate together, and that was a really beautiful way of getting to know each other to start. So
In France, did you get to sightsee a lot?
yeah, I wasn't working as much as like Maddie and Ollie, and I had a little more time. So yeah, absolutely got to go sightsee. Everyone else stayed extra time in Europe. I left because the Oilers were in the Stanley Cup final, and I was not missing that. Trust me, I heard about it. Everyone was very upset with me. They're like, "What for hockey?" I'm like, "You don't understand. They're the best. They're gonna win this year." They didn't, but yeah, it was great.
I'm sure it was heartbreaking, but you don't regret the decision.
No, God, no, no, it was perfect. I loved it.
You're like, oh, what's an extra week in France? Oh, but the
I
Oilers.
didn't care. I could always go to France. I don't know when the Oilers are going to be in the Stanley Cup again. Luckily, they made it again that year, or the year after, or was it the year before? I can't remember. The last 2 years have just been, uh, um, but hopefully they make it again. I hope so because I'll be there.
You worked with an intimacy coordinator, Matea Kennedy. Tell me about working with Matea in season one for your scenes, and given your experience, the importance of this role in productions.
Yeah. So she's amazing. Really open-minded, really, someone that we could lean on if we ever had a problem. Obviously, with the dance routines and like the club scene, and it is very, I mean, yeah, it's just very intimate. And so having her there and kind of being able to bounce ideas off of her is really important. I think intimacy coordinators are a crucial part of a film set. It just makes everyone feel comfortable. You may not need them, but just having them there just in case something goes wrong is a breath of fresh air. So, I love them. I think they're great.
It's so important in these scenes because you want to act with passion and intention, but there's also a need to feel safe with your scene partner and vice versa. How was your experience working with your showrunner, Jeff Norton, your directors, and the creative team? Did you adapt to their working style and was it very collaborative?
Working with Jeff, wow, what a guy. He had done Geek Girl, which was obviously a great show, and got renewed for a season two. Jeff is kind of the golden boy of Netflix. It seems like he's getting a lot of shows now, and it makes sense. He is a guy who takes his job very seriously, comes prepared, hires the right people, really brings an energy to set that just makes everyone want to work harder and do a better job. With the directors, yeah, they're amazing. Both of them are just so amazing, so collaborative, willing to listen. If we wanted to try something new and it wasn't too out of the norm, they allowed us to. It may not have made it, but they gave us that opportunity to try. And that's all you can ask for. If you wanted another take, if there was time, which there mostly was, we were allowed to get another take. Uh, and so I love both of them with all of my heart. And it was honestly, I didn't need to adapt much. They were adapting themselves to us. And I think every great director does that, willing to work with different personalities and understanding that different actors need different things. And they really brought that to set. And I think it shows in the final product.
That's so wonderful because you always want to feel like your ideas are welcome on a set. So I'm glad it's such a positive experience. Next up, you will recur as Benji in Netflix's The Body, another Netflix family project. What can you share about this show?
Yeah, I can't share too much, but let's just say Benji is someone who is somehow more brash than Brayden Elliot at his worst. Benji is someone who I don't think a lot of people will enjoy, but he is sure very fun to play.
That is filming in Toronto, I think through February, but it's Quinn Shepard's show, and Quinn is also an actor. So it must be nice to have that duality and what I read about it, gritty coming of age drama. So a bit of a darker tone than Finding Her Edge, but another great ensemble cast of young adults to get to hang out with and start a new family.
100%. Yeah, it's super collaborative on that set. A lot of ad-libbing and just a ton of freedom to really create the character for yourself and to bring your own ideas and like to really put those ideas to the screen is so much fun. It's obviously a big show, a big budget thing. And so, yeah, again, working with a bunch of kids that are my age again is really cool. And yeah, getting to start yet another family, I think is another beautiful thing of acting.
As we round things out here, I have a question for you, a bit of a nod to the show title and its namesake. But how do you find your edge as an artist in the entertainment industry? How do you maintain your passion for your craft and grow while achieving success and personal fulfillment?
100%. The thing that I think is my edge in the industry is there's so many people that look the same and um just having something different in a way. And I think for me, I just want to be the best actor I can. And I think I always want to learn. I always want to get better. I watch the show and I'm taking things from it that I can improve on things that I didn't particularly enjoy in my performance, things that I really did enjoy in my performance. I think that's something that really helps me and really can push me out of the just the box that sometimes actors can get put into. Um, but again, the industry is so versatile and so, it has a lot to do with luck and the people your management. I think I get another edge for me is my management. They are so amazing, so understanding, really know what I want to accomplish in my career. They understand what trajectory is the right trajectory, what isn't, what projects will help me, which won't. They are some of the best people in the world, and I honestly could not do any of this without them, obviously. But yeah, I think that's another edge that I have.
Thanks for sharing all of that. I mean, give credit where credit is due to your team, but also yourself as well for the work and dedication that you put in. I have one more question, our signature question. If you could be any ice cream flavor, which would you be and why?
Mm. Mint chip, because it's just so they just the contrast is so weird, you know what I mean? And so I'm like, Mint can be like, oh, he's just like, I think of it in Brayden terms. He's like, oh, he's like this cocky, amazing guy, blah, blah, blah. But then the chocolate chips is like his darkness, the all the crap that he's gone through in his life and just mushed all together into this like kind of weird ice cream. A mint chip.
So you're a big fan of that flavor as well?
I love mint chip. People give me crap for it, but I love it. I think it's fantastic.
What's funny is Ollie said the same, but then he ended up moving to chocolate because I think he
Oh,
said that some people think it tastes like toothpaste or something. So
yeah.
he switched his answer. But otherwise, you two would have been on the exact same wavelength had he kept mint chip.
Makes sense. I'm Team Freddie, so it makes sense.
You cannot be, you're not, you have to back your character.
Yeah, I think I do. I think I do. I hope people keep switching. I don't know. I was when I watched it, I was flip-flopping each way. I was like, oh God, I was very confused at the end of it. I was like, I don't even know who to pick at this point. I'm like, I understand Brayden, but I also like love Freddie, but like I also don't like either of them at the same time. You know what I mean?
That's the best part of a good love triangle, though, right? Like you have to be able to make each pairing believable.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think people will really enjoy that love triangle and yeah, sink their teeth into it and hopefully be able to see more of it in a season two.
That's a great note to end things off. Thank you so much, Cale, for taking the time to chat. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm really grateful. It was great to get to know you, and I appreciate the interview.
Of course, hopefully we can catch up in the future, but until then, for all those watching, make sure to catch Cale as Brayden Elliot in Finding Her Edge. Season 1 is out now on Netflix, and we will see you next time.